Welcome to the Eltropy Exchange podcast, where leaders of community financial institutions connect, learn, and stay ahead. In each episode, we sit down with industry executives, innovators, and experts for candid conversations about the challenges and opportunities shaping CFIs today. At Eltropy, we believe conversations matter. Let's dive in.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of the Eltropy Exchange podcast. I'm your host, Michael Pupil, Vice President of the Collections Business Unit at Eltropy. And today I get the pleasure of having a chat with Mary Fatu. Mary has been working in the finance industry for over 15 years. She's the manager of the Member Solutions team at Launch Credit Union on the Space Coast of Florida. Mary's passionate about building teams and dedicating to helping members find the best solutions during the most challenging times. A lifelong resident of Brevard County, Florida, where she enjoys outdoor adventures with her husband, Mary. I know that is the official introduction that we're reading, but we have been longtime friends now for a couple of years, and I'm so excited to have you on the Eltropy Exchange podcast. Thank you so much for carving time for us today.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Oh, likewise. I think it's been a long time coming, and please pause while I take a sip of my coffee. From a very lovely gift that you had given me, including a lot of other things to keep me well entertained and repping the Launch Credit Union from A to Z. You should see my office; it's decked out in orange. So a big thank you to you and the team and your marketing team for sending me that care package.
You're welcome. Absolutely.
Well, Mary, we normally start these conversations in the first spot, which is always the most interesting. And so I'm going to ask you the question that I always ask is, how did you first get started in the world of lending and collections? Take us back in time.
Well, I worked in hospitality for many years, and a friend of mine actually thought that I would be great at it and gave me an opportunity. And to say I ran with it is an understatement.
No kidding. Because 15 years later, you must have found something that you loved in the industry for sure.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. I think it just comes down to being able to assist people.
So is that the line that was drawn? Because hospitality is in the people servicing business, right? Like that is the whole idea behind hospitality. Is that the line that you're drawing where people helping people? I know that has been a rallying cry of many credit unions, but is that really the step that you've taken and the passion that you now see?
Absolutely, yes, absolutely. It's the most rewarding part of our job, is being able to assist someone when they didn't think that was a possibility for them.
Oh my goodness. Well said. Yeah, 15 years is a decent amount of time to have some experience. We've definitely seen some changes in technology, changes in the overall industry and the overall market. Maybe just staying in that piece, when you think back to the early days of when you started, what are some of the lessons that you've learned from some of the old school days? I don't even know if we can call 15 years ago old school. I feel like 30 years ago might be more old school, but 15 years ago, the old school days that you first started getting into until, what it has led to and what it's like today. Maybe you can just enlighten us here.
I think lessons that I've learned is just actually, rolling up my sleeves and getting into the thick of it with our members and getting, down to what the actual cause of the issue is.
Oh my God.
I think that was the biggest lesson that I've brought from the finance world was just getting down to the root of the problem.
It would be amazing. And I attribute that to communication, right? You cannot solve a problem if you don't know what the problem is. And oftentimes, especially in things like delinquency, it's a little bit difficult to uncover what that is. On the lending side, a little bit easier, right? I want to purchase a car. We kind of can draw the dots between the two. Yes. I want to purchase a home. We can draw the dots. Even when it comes down to things like a consolidation loan, there's a purpose and an angle that you can delineate based on the product. In collections, it's very, very difficult. And I often make the joke, and my team makes fun of me for this terrible dad joke, that it's not often that people are late on their bills because they've won Powerball. It's normally because of something a little bit more severe, and you've made the comment, life happens to everyone, right?
Yes.
And I guess, are those the guiding principles that you help guide your team? And maybe you can uncover some of the training that you do in order to help facilitate those conversations, because they're not easy to have, right? Um,
They're not. They're not. And I think the most important is, asking questions. That's one of the most important things that we work with our team on is asking questions.
yeah.
And we facilitate a lot of our training in regards to conversations that our team has with members by example. Before a rep that comes into the department actually gets on the phone, they sit with multiple members of our team and listen for, I think it's about 2 or 3 weeks that they sit and listen and develop that, because it's an art, having that conversation. You don't just pick up the phone and, start talking to somebody. You kind of develop a little bit of an art. So we give our team time to develop that art before they get on the phone with a member.
I love that. So you have, in the onboarding or training aspect, you have your team members sit with member solutions, lending, a number of different departments before they start picking up the phone and calling. Is that
Well, they sit with a number of representatives in the member solutions department.
right? And so that provides a little bit of context from the before, the during, and I guess the after, in order to kind of take into full context, not only just the procedures of the credit union, but what the journey of the member is going through.
Correct. And we've been really fortunate for the most part. We do a lot of our recruiting within the credit union world. So a lot of our team has come from within Launch itself. So they've come from other departments, and that's given us a kind of a unique perspective going into the conversations with our members.
I love that. So I guess it opens a two-way door. Having your team sit with other departments may attract that person to maybe go into a different career path, but vice versa, there are other departments that are also having a little bit of a look in terms of what you guys are doing as a team, and that may attract people to come through. Uh, I guess it well rounds everybody within Launch. That gives you guys a little bit of a different perspective on career growth, I guess.
Correct. Correct.
I love that. I love that piece. I also think it's really interesting by getting the full context, because, and I mean, we've been pounding this drum for a long time. I think you would agree. The most important word when it comes to collections or member services is empathy, and certainly leading with empathy. And the definition of that is to understand and feel what the other person is going through. And I don't think that you can understand and feel what the other person is going through unless you've taken a look at all of the steps of the journey that's going through. Was that done by design, or was that just kind of like the instinctive, kind of process that you guys felt like it was right?
I think it was just an instinctive process. When you're talking to someone, you oftentimes want to put yourself in their shoes so you can understand, what they're going through, and sometimes that offers a different solution to the situation at hand.
Yeah, I totally agree. Now, has this approach, I guess, been measured in terms of, team satisfaction, member satisfaction? Like, are there any metrics that you guys are pulling, or is this really when something kind of feels right? Well, you do it because it feels right, it's right, and it's not always about the math, but when you're doing something right by the member. Maybe you can talk a little bit about, obviously the measurement or the belief in that system.
There's, like you said, there's really not any measurement, any metrics to measure. But like when it sounds, when it's right, it's right. If it makes sense, we do it. So that's pretty much how we roll here in our department. We have the conversations with our members, and we really do try to get to the root of the issue so we can better assist them.
You know what? We're gonna start that. We're doing this recording on a Monday morning, so no surprise to anybody. There's some editing that'll take place before this is released, and so what a beautiful way to start a Monday morning together, because it all comes down to context. And if it looks like a duck, it walks like a duck. Chances are it is a duck, and sometimes simplicity makes things so much easier on both sides. And yeah, measurement is great, but sometimes when it feels right, it likely is the right thing to do.
Absolutely.
But maybe just switching gears onto the lending side of things. I'd love to talk a little bit about some of the programs that Launch has. Most specifically, Launch's Quick Cash Loan. I think that is a great example. And for the listeners, I'm going to come back. I'm setting up a preface here of something that I'm going to be on a mission of for the next couple of years. Mary is smiling because I think she knows what it is. But talk to me a little bit about the Quick Cash Loan program that you guys have.
Okay, so our members have the ability through their app to borrow up to $2,500 with only a direct deposit needed. While there's no credit check, we do report monthly to the credit bureau. So there's no need to visit a branch, and the members can get that up to $2,500 with no credit check. It's our way to kind of combat the payday lending that some of our members are getting. How do you say, sucked into?
Yeah, and I think we're being very politically correct and choosing some choice kind language to say that. I couldn't agree more. And the bandstanding that I'm going to be doing over the next couple of years is, enabling more technology for credit unions to compete with those payday lenders. How many conversations have we had, Mary, at some of the events that we've seen each other at, where the number of credit unions are decreasing year over year, mergers and acquisitions, struggling to get new deposit accounts, while there's a proliferation of payday lenders across the board. And it's proof that ease of use trumps cost of resource. And a lot of payday lenders, and if you're lucky enough to be in a state that caps it at a certain percentage, but many states have it at 500, 600% of ARR, which is predatory in language. I'll be far more black or white with this. I think that they should be outlawed at a certain point. I think there should be a cap on all lending. I love that Launch is trying to offer this empathetic way of getting these emergency funds without the predatory nature of what's happening. That obviously leads to a different bundle of conversations, most notably fighting fraud, tied to predatory lending, people that want to take advantage of the system. Maybe you can talk a little bit about how this program within Launch has affected members, the team, what you guys see in terms of trends. Is this something that you feel other credit unions are going to get involved in? Or, is it really Launch because of the size and the breadth of the market that you can approach? Maybe just comments. Yeah.
I would like to think that other credit unions are going to get involved, only just from the simple aspect of, wanting to have something to assist your members and a product that the members are looking for and they're getting elsewhere. I would imagine that most credit unions would want to step in and provide that to their members, especially given the predatory situations that are going on with the payday lending.
Yeah. And have you seen an increase in, I guess, fraud at the origination side, or how are you guys detecting it? Yeah.
I think like most institutions, we are seeing a rise in fraud across the board.
Right. And any tips or tricks that you guys are trying to stay ahead of it? Are you guys, monitoring transactions, or is it just kind of as it comes, you guys unpack through the conversations to figure out which one is good, which one is naughty?
Well, we've got automated workflows that are assisting in regards to allowing our team to focus on the higher delinquencies, and it gives them the ability to ask more questions. They've got more time with these members, and the ability to kind of recognize when something doesn't look right. If we're talking to someone, maybe a straw purchase, or just some scenarios. Questions lead us to loans that may be on the fraud side, and they also those automated queues allow us to ask questions in regards to possible restructuring of loans as well.
Yeah.
So the automated workflows are assisting us in both of those areas.
Yeah, and I obviously the size of Launch, it's a little bit of a larger credit union, and I think you do need technology to automate some process, but it sounds like you have a really great balance of automation through technology, but also having that human element and that human touch on many of the accounts that are affecting members. Could you talk a little bit about, in that vein of automation, what are some other technologies that you've been using to help, in having better conversations at the right time? What does that look like for other credit unions that are listening? Talk to us about, what are the tools that you're using so that maybe it helps other groups look at them.
We have been using Eltropy for a few years now. We've been using Eltropy in a sense. We send out many texts that are kind of automated through our workflows. We have a text that goes out with a payment reminder that tells you you are 22 days past due for $450. And we're also, texting the payment link as well.
Right.
We are texting payment, you paid payment made still past due.
Yeah.
And so we're sending out a lot of automated text messages. And again, it allows our team time to take with the members that actually need that special attention.
So today, you guys still do phone calls, yes?
Yes.
Emails, text messages, for sure.
Yes. Yes.
Letters that get sent into the mail.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
And maybe, do you guys have anybody knocking at doors as well?
We do send out, we employ a third party that will go and knock on a door if we're having a hard time getting a hold of somebody. Yes.
It sounds like it's a team sport. You want to have all the channels covered because who knows
Absolutely.
when somebody's going to respond.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I make this joke a lot. Again, it's terrible dad jokes, but I'll ask credit unions when we're looking at technology if anybody ever receives a check in a branch for a payment. And then everybody kind of rolls their eyes and say, yeah, we receive checks from time to time. And it's obviously decreasing over time, but we still get them. And I joke
We
around, and say,
do.
well, you're not. Yeah, you guys do as well. You're never going to advertise on the website, stop sending us checks, right? Because the digital way is faster. So stop doing that. We just need to find a way to process that check a little bit faster until eventually there are very few, if not any, checks that are taking place, right? We're not going back to rotary phones. We're pressing forward to different technology. But I love how
Correct.
you encompass all of the different communication channels because it gives you the greater chance of success. And I imagine that is how you are combating, like you said before, a rise in delinquencies.
Correct.
Do you see that rise across all product lines, or is it really more the uncollateralized loans, or maybe your indirect loan portfolio? Where is the area that is most bruised? Where are you guys seeing the most pain today?
I think right now we're concentrating mostly on our credit card portfolio and our auto loans.
It's amazing how many credit unions would cite those two parts of the portfolio, the lending portfolio,
Hmm.
being the most bruised. Credit cards, I can totally understand because it's a revolving credit. Most of the time, Visa, MasterCard, or other groups don't necessarily get too mad when you're past due on 30 days because now you get the interest, that gets charged, and that's how they make a lot of their money. But on the auto loans, it's amazing to me because that is a collateralized piece that often would result in repossession of the asset,
Hmm.
which has proliferated over the years. Talk to me a little bit about the difference between the two. How do you handle both of those? Because I've yet to meet a credit union that wants to become a car dealership. No, nobody wants the asset. That's not
No.
the name of the game. So talk to me a little bit about how you approach both of those because they're wildly different products.
Correct. And we're seeing like right now, when, we just had our charge off meeting last week, and when going through our charge offs for our credit cards, we're seeing a lot of credit cards that were originated in 2014 and 2015, no previous delinquency. They're either filing bankruptcy, or a lot of them are going to credit counseling as well. So, and of course you have the deceased, but yeah. So the last few months have been a little challenging because we're looking at going over these charged off loans, and it's like there's no previous delinquency, and so we are seeing quite a bit of bankruptcies and credit counseling situations going on as well.
So this is not the first time that I have this conversation where all of a sudden previous A and B paper on record, which have had no history of delinquencies, all of a sudden finding itself in a world of hurt, like just out of nowhere. Uh,
Hmm.
any insights, thoughts, and look, I think this is one of the hardest questions to ask. So don't feel compelled to have the perfect or correct. I think a lot of people are a little confused, but what is the credit union, or how are you assessing that, where now for the first time, paper that you thought was going to be smooth sailing is all of a sudden finding itself on the delinquency queues, and that's probably the gap of the increase, is the what was never is now becoming a common.
I think, to be honest with you, I think that it's probably issues with the economy. And people are, maxed out, in regards to maybe job loss, using the credit card to live on, and that's come to the point where they can't pay it anymore, and it's the easiest one to give back. So that I think that's, and of course there is no right answer, because there's no right or wrong answer. I mean, there's going to be a different scenario with every charged off credit card. So,
So
but
true.
I think for the most part, we are seeing people who for the last year or two were living on their credit cards, and now they just can't pay them.
Well said. It really is an individual, unique, experience for each person. Not everybody is
Mhm.
going to be the same. I agree. It's such a confusing time because we hear, especially the last few months, comments about the economy, and not to get too political, having a significant impact in the overall markets. The markets, I think, oftentimes have the illusion of being representative of what the economy is going through, right? Just because the stock market is at a certain level doesn't necessarily mean employment is following suit, or the changes within the economy internally are taking a little bit of a turn, regardless of what the share price of equities are looking like. And I think for the first time, we're starting to see some layoffs in some areas that we had not seen previously. And maybe that is contributing to now all of a sudden A and B paper no longer being able to afford the lifestyle, and them trying to keep it up through lending practices, hoping that it would turn. I don't know. I have been proven over and over again that I do not have a crystal ball for the future.
I
So
don't I don't think any of us do. I don't think any of us do. It's just, we do the best we can.
we do the best we can. Yeah, and with the right process in mind, empathy first, and just try to tackle it. Well said. Well said, Mary.
Thank you.
Yeah, if I had to ask you, looking ahead, and in the vein of these crystal balls, the future of member support, the mindset that is taking place, how do you see collections or member solutions kind of evolving, not only in 2025 but in 2026 and so forth? Do you see a trend pushing in a certain way when it comes to collections or member solutions?
I think we're going to see a lot more automated processes. A lot more AI. We are in the process now of onboarding our virtual collector. Our team is very excited about it,
Yeah.
and I think that we will probably start seeing a lot more of that.
I, I couldn't agree more. I'm very excited that you're starting that automated payment process as well. I think you're going to see a lot of engagement there for sure. We got to spend a little bit of time at CUCP a couple of weeks ago, where we were talking a lot about some of the technologies that are rolling out. I would love to just ask you, one, how was your experience at CUCP? I know that we've been together at that event for a couple of years. I got the pleasure of speaking a couple of times. Thank you to that board. But tell me about your experience with CUCP, and what is it that you look for in events, overall?
I really enjoy the CUCP. It gives a lot of opportunity for networking, and it involves a lot of credit unions from outside of our immediate area that we wouldn't normally get to network with.
Right on. That's a really excellent point. Any one or two takeaways that following the event, like this was the golden nugget, one or two things.
I think that speaking with a couple of the other credit unions, one of the takeaways that I took back to work with us was that I like the idea of sending a representative from our department, maybe on a monthly basis, to meet with maybe branch front end personnel, and just to kind of bridge that communication gap that there may be. So that was one of the takeaways that I brought back with me.
Ooh, I love that. So representative goes into the branch to kind of experience the front lines, what the tonality, the mood, or kind of the conversations are happening at the branch level face to face.
Well, I believe what it is our branches meet. I don't know if it's once a month or, once every other week, but sending one of our representatives to those meetings
Yeah.
to kind of be a face for our department and for any questions that, the front end may have for us and maybe for any, information we want to share with the front end staff.
I love that nugget. That's the first time that I've heard this. And so what I love about that is breaking down the silo of departmental work, where now by breaking that down, it comes to the concentration of, the members themselves and what they're hearing and seeing. And they may hear and see something completely different than on the virtual side. We've all heard the term, keyboard warriors. It's very easy in a digital sense to take on a different persona than when you are face to face with somebody. And I think that that's an excellent temperature gauge, as well as a way for multiple departments to be able to work together and also understand the context of where they're coming from. Right. I'm sure it has happened once or twice that a member walks into the branch kicking and screaming over a conversation that happened with member solutions or collections, all to be, in the vein of the message was consistent and clear from the credit union to the member. It's just they're going through some hardship and it could be a frustrating scenario. And, level setting those tempers need to be taken place. I love
Yes.
I love that. And is that something that is common to all credit unions? Do you think that everybody kind of does this breaking down the silos or communication?
I'm not sure if everybody does it, but it's such a novel idea. I mean, why wouldn't we, So it really resonated when I heard that other credit union speaking about their plans of action that they take with their member solutions department and their front ends. So that it just really resonated.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I've never heard of it either. This is the first time that we chat about it. There's the takeaway or the soundbite piece that if I can think of one, you've already given me three or four that I can think of, but that one is wildly interesting to me, and mostly because I'm the type of person that likes to put a finger in each one of the sandboxes to see like what's going on. I'm genuinely curious about things. I guess hence the podcast and getting to know everybody a little bit more. But it also provides a heck of a lot of context when you're speaking to somebody to know what their experience or what their journey has been, right? Both
Correct.
pros and cons, and not everything is always so easy. So, Mary, are you registered for any other conferences for the rest of this year, or do I have to wait until Tampa 2026 to see you guys?
We may be going to Phoenix for the Akuvo conference, if I'm not mistaken.
Fantastic. Their user conference. Yeah, that's right.
Yes,
Having one in
yes,
Phoenix. I'll shout out to Akuvo for doing that. I heard their last one was a really great event to bring everybody together. And like you said, you're launching soon with Virtual Collector, which is very, very cool.
yes.
Yeah, well, then maybe I will see you at that conference for sure.
Nice. I hope so.
I'm at a few of them over the course of the year, and so if you see anything that you want me to pull, I'm happy to do that.
Absolutely. Well, thank you.
Maybe some parting comments for those that are listening. Mary, if you could go back in time to talk to Mary Fatu, 15 years ago, what would you tell yourself today?
I think I would tell myself that it's not that serious.
Ooh,
Yep, it's not that serious. Yeah. Give grace where grace is due, and it's not that serious.
I
Hmm.
like that. Just keep the mental sanity of just one foot in front of the other.
Absolutely.
As
Yeah.
it comes, right? Everything can be resolved and do it with a
Absolutely.
smile on your face.
That's right.
I love it. Mary, every time I see you, you will forever be on my list of my maple syrup gang. And for those, some of you listening, you know who I'm talking about. For those that haven't received syrup yet, I'm really sorry. It looks like I'm going to have to be increasing that budget. But every time I see you and Cherry and the team, you've been so kind and so kind to donate some time to this podcast to talk about your experience, things that Launch is doing. Any parting comments about what Launch is doing in the neighborhoods or in the community? Anything that you guys are upcoming for 2025?
Well, launch is always in the community. They play a big part, and there's a Matthews Hope organization that helps with our homeless citizens in our area, and we also do a lot of uh, work for the Children's Food Network, or the Children's Hunger Network, I believe it is. So we do pack backpacks for the children when they're out for summer and whatnot. So Launch is very active in that community.
That's amazing. And a big thank you to the Launch organization for the dedication and the work that they do in the community. Those are wonderful causes, and I wish you guys much, much success. Mary,
Thank you.
we'll wrap up this podcast. I'll let you get back to the very important work that you're doing. Thank you for spending some time with us. I look forward to seeing you virtually as well as face-to-face. As always, I will be repping all my launch gear on planes, on trains and automobiles, face-to-face and virtual. A huge thank you to you and the team, and thank you for spending time with us today.
Thank you for having me, Michael. I appreciate it.
Amazing. And for those listening, we'll be back next week or the week after with our newest and latest Eltropy Exchange podcast. In the meantime, thank you again to Mary. Thank you to the listeners. Hopefully you also got a couple of nuggets that you could bring back to your teams, and join us next time in our next session. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Eltropy Exchange podcast. For more insights and resources, visit us at eltropy.com. We'll see you next time.